that I bring before you, and this is regarding the old post office here in the city of Centro that we're all very familiar with over on Fifth Street. Back in September, we got a call from IID that the service that feeds from the IID power point in the alley that feeds inside into the structure, there was smoke coming out of it. So IID proceeded out of safety to disconnect power to avoid an electrical fire on the inside starting and damaging the structure, damaging IID facilities and so forth. At that time, we contacted Tom Watson to help out. They have familiarity with the project and the scope on this area and working with IID, and they've helped us and worked together with IID to come up with a repair. Upon investigation, it was determined that the electrical system there was beyond repair and basically needed to be gutted and replaced. Everything from and including the IID power pole, the conduits coming down from the transformer in the alley down into the main switch gears, electrical switch gears, and everything going into the basement of the structure, including the equipment in the basement. All of that was repaired and replaced. Actually replaced. ID gave us an estimate. We processed payment. This all happened in around November and December. And on January 7th, ID was on site completing the work to install a new power pole, new transformer. And in January itself is when Tom Watson did the repairs. So I'll show you some pictures, but the scope of is exactly as I described. That they replaced the service entrance cabinet. They installed a wood pole, 25 foot tall, new electrical panel, feeders, 200 amp. It's all technical. Better pictures.
Mhm.
So as you can see here, IID is this pole is a new pole that was replaced, new transformers, electrical feeds from it came into a new switchgear. This is all brand new switchgear. This is the same switchgear here. And from there, conduits were run. Going back to the same switchgear, you see all the conduits being run and chased through that wall. That's on the back side of the post office, coming to this box. From this box, they come inside. And some of them, through various, where is this? Right there. And they come in through access points. And this is now we're inside the building in the basement looking up. And so these conduits are hugging that ceiling of that basement and running to their different parts of the basement in the structure. And some other electrical panels were replaced and installed, which feed the electrical lighting on the inside and so forth. The panels on the outside, going back to the previous slide, feed the main AC system for the post office.
Mhm.
So right now, everything is new. And the cost to do all of this work was 157,510 and 23 cents. And as you know, electrical gear is very expensive. And the coordination that it took with IID was also quite a bit. IID itself, the invoice which was already paid, is not part of the 157. The IID work was 49,000 to 40 and 07. That's already paid. Today here we're asking to approve this agreement with Tom Watson to be able to pay that invoice for $107,510.23. The funding source for this is general fund balance reserves. There is a pocket for basically a rainy day fund, which this would qualify if they have an unexpected issue. If from time to time we get a major AC equipment that is vandalized or is broken or just suddenly fails. This is the fund that's used to pay for these expenses, and this is the fund that's being proposed today to pay for this. However, we are talking with legal and finance to see if there's an alternate fund that's not general fund or Measure P, such as some impact fee or something else that we can use that to reduce the burden on the general fund for this expense. So today we need to get the bill paid. So we're asking for your approval for us to pay this bill for this amount with basically option one, the general fund balance reserve, but with direction to staff to look for other funding sources that might be in there that we can use for this fund. If any questions, we're looking to approve the agreement with Tom Watson for that amount and the budget as I just stated.
So this wasn't vandalism, or it's just old wiring with multiple I heard there was smoke coming out of the building at one time, so.
Not of the building itself. The smoke was coming down from, this is the new pole, but the old pole at the bottom,
Yes.
you see there's conduits that
Yes.
are basically take the wire from the ground up into the pole. That those gray conduits that come up and the top of it, there's smoke coming out of it. So the origin of the smoke was probably chasing that conduit into the structure. It was some electrical panel inside where smoke was being chased through that conduit, and that was the outlet, like a chimney. So obviously, we don't know exactly where it was. The conduit, the existing conduits, we were not able to reuse because conduits basically is a big tube, right, like a sprinkler line, and you have wires that go through it. And from the power pole to this cabinet, the wires go through inside
Mhm.
the conduit. Those conduits are buried many times. So the contractor attempted to reuse the conduits by pulling the old wire and pulling a new one, and they could. It was all locked. It was done. So new conduits had to be run. So the exact point of where that
Wow.
short or causing that smoke occurred is not known because we couldn't
Yeah.
find out. We had to replace it.
Do you have any idea how old the wiring was?
It varies. Some of it was done for the AC system about, I want to say 10, 20 years ago. Other systems that were replaced here were much, much older. The facility itself is from the 1932.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Not all of it was from
Yeah.
1932,
Okay.
but it's
Yeah.
just the things that we're dealing with.
Yeah.
Yes.
I have two questions, just I need to ask. So I just would like to know why, does that pole that IID installed just solely service the old post office, or is it also being utilized by residencies around it?
It's a service pole, so it comes in from the transformer and feeds a new service pole. What a service pole is a pole within our own property,
Mhm.
where the IED drops from their power pole in the alley. They come into a pole inside
A secondary,
ours, a
okay.
secondary to drop it into our site. So that pole is privately owned.
Okay, and then the second one is since, just another question, since the post office is registered in the National
Mhm.
Register of Historic Places, is there any type of grants and or funding that would assist in maintaining the building to ensure that it, stays usable and on the list?
I haven't looked, but I'm sure there is something for registered. What I do know is that we're not required to maintain it the way it is. It's listed and it
Right.
can be taken off if we modify it in a significant way, right? Right now we have not done that. It's just the status quo. We're not changing the look of it in any way. It's just operation. So it wouldn't affect this listing status. In terms of eligibility for historic use, that's another question. We can look into that for grant sources. It may help with facade or look or activities within the building, but we haven't explored that at this point.
Okay.
And given this was an emergency type situation, we wouldn't be able to
Yeah, just for
apply
the
for
future,
grants.
just something that maybe it could be an avenue that we look at for additional sources on another
Understand?
event.
Abraham, just for clarity, you said the IID, I don't know if you can go back to that slide, that they had paid some monies already. Is that already deducted from what you're asking from today?
No, so the ID work is already paid. The ID needs to be paid in advance before they do their work.
Mm.
The amount is within existing city manager's approval limits, and that's why it didn't come to this body for approval.
Oh, okay.
And so the total cost overall is 157 plus the 49.
Okay, thank you.
I wanted to just comment, it's not so much to my colleague Camarena, but it's to staff and to the general public that the comment that like perhaps there's federal grants and all that kind of stuff. My first thought was there might have been, but certainly not in this administration. Right? I mean, the truth of the matter is, if it did exist, they're not giving it out for stuff like this. And that's ultimately a consequence of whatever. So we're going to have to figure it out. So the question is, the 157,000, are you suggesting it come from general fund reserve or measure P or half and half or what exactly?
Right now, the request is general fund because we do have a fund and finance could add or if needed, but there is within the budget an account or an amount set up for emergency repairs as part of that general fund.
Do we have any idea how much IID is going to give us back on the over collection from ECA?
I do not know.
Somewhere in my mind, I'm assuming that if we do make this expenditure, that with that reimbursement, whatever amount it is, it would theoretically offset so that we're not so much agitating the general fund. So I'm just sharing to my colleagues that in my mind, I'm assuming that the reimbursement that we would get from the overpayment of IID theoretically would equal to this amount, because from my understanding, they're sitting on, I think, $26 million of overpayment, and us, the city, as a client or as a customer of paying our electric bills, some of that money, as they reimburse individuals, we would be reimbursed as well. And I would hope that some of that cost can cover this expenditure.
To the extent, I won't speak on finance, but in general concept, to the extent that ID refunds funds, it would obviously offset this or whatever general fund expenditure.
Right. Okay.
I just want to clarify that the comment you made was, I'm assuming, a personal comment regarding the administration, because we don't really know where funds are going to be cut at this point, because things have been cut and then reinstated and so forth. But irregardless, it is a comment that I would say is not from the board, but more personal, because it's just an assumption at this point.
Not really, but okay.
I
Continue.
believe so.
Continue.
So, Abraham, Liz, have you started doing any research into alternative sources of funding for this project? I know it's an emergency and it's a significant amount, so that's why I was wondering if by chance you found.
We got some ideas. I mean, it's
Okay.
early to bring them out because we want to make sure that there are proper avenues. And so we're doing our history, and there's maybe some accounts out there that we just need to look into a little bit further to see if this is an allowable expense. And that's basically.
No, I know you guys are really good at doing your due diligence, but I just,
We have some ideas.
yeah, just because, it's just like, it hurts. It hurts when you see over $200,000 that, for an emergency situation, but, we've got to do what we have to do to ensure that building is not damaged, so.
At
Okay.
the end, it saves us a fire.
Yes.
Yeah. Being proactive.
Liability, yes.
Yeah, it's an investment, really. What it is, it's an investment.
All right.
So essentially, direction must be given.
I move that we approve this motion. I mean, the idea of going forward to look for other funding. Pay for the general fund now and then look for underfunding.
Thank you.
Right. Good clarification. Is there a
I
second?
second.
Because there's a motion by Elliott, second by Camarena. If you could please, Madam Clerk, open the vote.
Mm-hmm.
Do a voice roll
Abraham's
call.
like, hurry up.
It's turned on already, but just, I don't seem to be working.
Just keeps blinking.
Would you like to do a voice vote? Yes. Okay, we'll go ahead and do a roll call vote.
Councilmember Ellett,
Yes.
Councilmember Camarena,
Yes.
Councilmember Marroquin,
Yes.
Mayor Potem Carter,
Yes.
Mayor Oliva.
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Now, colleagues, we need to recess to closed session. So is there a motion to recess to closed
A
session?
motion?
We have a motion by Marroquin,
A second.
second by Carter. We'll do a roll call.
And you see no public comments for closed session.
Oh, I wasn't sure if the Mayor Pro Tem did public
She did
comment.
not ask for closed session public comment.
Closed session public comments, okay.
I don't see any here.
I don't, but would we take those over there or
I
here?
would take them here and then adjourn to open.
Yeah.
And I don't know if there's anyone else.
No, nobody on Teams.
Okay. Seeing none, could we do the roll call to go into closed session, please?
Yes. Councilmember Allen,
Yes.
Councilmember Camarena,
Yes.
Councilmember Marroquin,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Carter,
Yes.
Mayor Oliva,
Yes.
5-0.
All right. Go ahead and move over there.
System only works on Tuesdays.